Hey guys, it's Kitty, and today I'm back reading some of your guys' stories as part of my Minecraft and Advice series, which if you didn't know is just, pretty much what I just said. Viewers send in their requests for advice or their stories to my Google form, which I'll link below in the description, and I do my best to give you some advice and encouragement and my perspective on things, so let's get into it. So this first story is from somebody who wishes to remain anonymous. They said, at age 10, I got thrown into life real quick by instantly becoming a therapist for a good 70% of my friends. I wanted to help everyone the best I could, till at age 11 I had to stop someone from attempting, which as an 11-year-old is gut-wrenching. But I learned from that experience that I do have the ability to be a great distraction in times of need. So I continued to give as much distraction or advice for many situations, but this wasn't really amazing in 2021 when COVID was around. How I got back my mental stability is by hanging out with my friends and constantly doing stupid stuff to keep my personal morale boosted, whilst keeping all the things I've helped IRL and personal friends from suicide, self-harm, etc. But this led to my personal mentality being thrown into the garbage essentially. I had no one there to fall back on, as all my friends had others they called or talked to, besides my 3 closest, which truly helped me so much and continue to help me. But I got worse. Then in 2024, I had about 20 people I was the therapist for, and as of now, 19 of them are still here. That one was one of my closest online friends, and I couldn't be all in for him, and I failed in keeping him safe. Though after crying my eyes out for many weeks with no one knowing what truly happened to him, I sat in silence, still being the therapist friend, and the 3 friends that helped me during COVID continue to help me today, along with 2 of my online friends, and many others who continue to boost my morale. Okay, first of all, I'm really sorry. There's no words for that obviously, as I'm sure you know, but I'm truly sorry that, one of those friends didn't make it, but I also want you to know that it wasn't because of anything that you did or didn't do. You didn't fail in keeping him safe. I know you tend to feel responsible for certain people, and, I think that's a normal thing, especially when you have a good heart and you really want to help people and you're used to helping people, but don't think any of it is your fault, because people, when their problems get to a certain extent, the only thing that's really going to help them is themselves, and sometimes there's nothing that anybody can do. So I really don't want you to ever think that it's because you failed at something involving this person. I know that's hard to kind of swallow or hard to adjust to, but just know that that's the truth. So try not to carry that weight too heavily. Now, as for the main part of the story, this is kind of similar to one that we talked about in the last video, where, you get used to being the therapist friend and you don't really have anybody else who does the same for you, but it sounds like for you, you have a good few people who do support you and help you, and that's good. I really hope you keep those friendships and also continue getting some more friendships that are good and supportful and mutually, encouraging and everything, because that's really important. You can't always be giving, and you yourself never getting anything back. You can't pour from an empty cup, so make sure that you're prioritizing those friendships that help you, not just the ones that you are helping. I think you're in a good spot for growth and learning, and when I say that, I don't mean to keep helping as many people as possible, which you can, but you have to do it in a smart way. And I think in this position, over time, naturally, as things play out, you're going to kind of gain some wisdom and some experience, and you're going to learn how to balance things for yourself as well. Because like I said, you can't really pour from an empty cup, so prioritizing your own well-being is not only going to help yourself and help you grow and feel better, but it's also going to expand your ability to be a light for others. And I just want to say I'm proud of you for trying to help so many people, especially starting at such a young age. I'm somewhat similar to you. I haven't had somebody close to me lose their fight with, suicidal tendencies or depression or anything. So, I'm not 100% relating with you, but I get where you're coming from, feeling like you're always the one helping people, but sometimes it doesn't come back to you. And I have a couple people who are good for me. But yeah, I know what it's like to want to help people and you feel like you're responsible and you can kind of get down on yourself when things don't go how you want them to. But it does get easier to handle, and like I said, you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't, and how things affect you and how you can help others while also maintaining your own well-being. But yeah, you have a big heart, it sounds like, so I hope that you can show yourself some of that love too, because that's really important. But yeah, I would just, like I said, I'm really sorry that you lost that friend, but I know that he definitely appreciated you and loved you for who you are and for who you were for him, trying to help and everything like that. That's really important. Even if he's not here anymore, the efforts that you put in weren't in vain because you still made a difference. Yeah, just allow yourself to feel any sadness or pain that you need to from that, allow yourself to process the emotions, but don't let it drag you down too long, especially not thinking that you failed, because you didn't. I hope you're doing well now. I know you submitted this story about a month and a half ago. I've been a little behind with these, but yeah, it's about a month ago now, June 29th, so I hope that you're hearing this, and I hope that you're doing better. It's been about a month, so yeah, anything can happen in even a week, so I hope you're doing better. Yeah, just stay mindful, hopeful, positive, optimistic, as well as you can, What you allow yourself to think and dwell on is going to end up dictating how you feel in the long run, so, keep your thoughts on happy and positive and hopeful things, and that's going to help kind of create the world that you have around you and the emotions that you feel as you go throughout it. Also, in your anything else you want to say section, you said, hello, YouTube, so, YouTube, say hi back. Okay, so our next story is from Jay. Jay says, one time at a school event, my friend, who I won't name but will refer to as Athena, told my crush, who I'll just name O, that I liked him. O said that he didn't feel the same way, but Athena kept talking to him about me. And take this with a grain of salt, because I heard this from another friend of mine. Asking him things like, would you ever date her? You should ask her out anyways, even if you don't like her. Things that probably made O very uncomfortable. I want to talk to Athena about how I didn't like what she did, but because it wasn't that recent, it was like a month and a half ago, I don't want to seem like I'm holding a grudge. I'm also worried that it'll affect our friendship, which is not what I want to happen at all, as I still think Athena's a great friend. I just want to express to her that it made me uncomfortable. What should I do? First of all, I think, you said Athena's a great friend, so that would lead me to believe that she knows you pretty well, so if you come to her with this honest, this honest conversation, I don't think she's going to see you as holding a grudge, especially if you say, I'm not holding a grudge, I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and it kind of bothered me, but I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to hurt our friendship or anything like that. You're just explaining that part of it, and if Athena really knows you, then she won't think anything bad of it. If she's a great friend, then she'll understand. You can tell her something along the lines of, like, hey, I appreciate that you're trying to get my crush involved because you know that I like him, and I know you're trying to be helpful because you care about me, but it made me a little uncomfortable and worried about what O might think about that. I didn't want to bring it up before because I didn't want to ruin our friendship or anything like that, but I know that you're a great friend to me, and I know that you care about me and vice versa, so I hope that you'll listen to me when I say that in the future I would appreciate it if you avoided doing things like that. That was off the top of my head, something along the lines of what I think you should say. I mean, I think that's pretty much all there is to it, Tell Athena, if you want to get your crush involved and if you want to find out things about O, then you'll ask him yourself. And you appreciate her caring, but, that's just something that you don't want involved in your friendship. It's all in just how you present that conversation and how you choose to word it, because you can portray the same message in two totally different ways depending on how you word it and how much detail you include. So yeah, just be mindful of what you say. I think if Athena's really a great friend, like you said, then she'll understand. Jay also said, make sure to stay hydrated and be kind. Very true, you as well. Okay, our last story is from Lunar, who says, I don't really have motivation to do anything, I just kind of do it. Like, I just exist, I don't want to kill myself, but living is just so exhausting. I also have trouble communicating things. Okay, Lunar, so I saw you submitted this story before I made the first episode of Answering Stories, and I didn't get around to it because I wasn't entirely sure what I could share with you because, you only shared like 2 sentences, so I didn't know how much I could get into, but I'm going to try my best. First of all, I will say that life is full of so many seasons, and oftentimes they feel like the season we're in now is going to last forever. And I can promise you it is never that way. As somebody who is most likely older than you by quite a few years, I'll say, there's been plenty of times where I've been like, oh my gosh, like this time is never going to end. Like all these weeks have been so horrible, or these months, and the season I'm in, like I just feel like this is my life from now on. And it has never been the case. Life is, it's short in some ways, but also it feels quite long because obviously living out years feels long, So in that lifetime, we have so many different times. It's all over the place, so I just want you to remember that what you're going through right now isn't going to last forever. The average human lives to be, what, like 75, 85? I don't know. But, you're barely even into that amount of years. So the likelihood of what you're struggling with right now to last until you're 85 is highly unlikely. And if all that you can do is just wake up another day and keep breathing to get through it, then, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes you just gotta let just let it pass. I think sometimes we resist our feelings because we really don't want to feel them, and we hate them, and we hate how these emotions and how these seasons make us feel, so we resist it and we fight it and we're so upset about it. And I feel like in certain situations that's fine, but in other times it makes it worse almost, because you're like thinking so much about the fact like, oh, I feel awful, living is so exhausting, like there's so many things that, like, oh my gosh, how do I stop feeling like this? And you stress yourself out more, when in reality you could just be like, okay, this is how I feel at this point in time. What can I do about it? Can I do something? Can I not do anything? However you answer that question, take the next possible action. So like if you can't do anything, if the things are out of your control, so be it. Just sit back and wait and it'll pass on its own. If there are things that you can do, start making tiny baby steps to exercise that bit of control that you have and slowly get through it, because the time is going to pass anyways, whether you're sitting in your room all day every day or whether you're out actively trying to change things, better things, whatever. The world isn't going to wait for you. The sun's going to rise whether you want it to or not, or whether you're struggling or whether you're thriving. The world doesn't wait, and that can sound scary, but it can also sound relieving. It just depends on how you look at it. And I really try and think about it's calming to look up at like the sun or the moon every day or every night and be like, hey, this is the same sun and the same moon that have carried me through all these other times, and they're going to keep carrying me, and I'm going to keep going. It's hard to explain what I mean entirely, but I hope you kind of get what I'm saying. I'll also say, you said that you have trouble communicating things. I feel that. Right now, I'm talking fine because I'm by myself just with my microphone, but if I were to have like a heart-to-heart chat like this with somebody right in my face, unless I've like prayed ahead of time and I'm like really like passionately, God help me talk to this person the right way, chances are I'm going to be fumbling, especially if it's me talking about my inner problems or something like that. I get all like jumbled, and it's frustrating because I almost cannot visualize the words that I want to say. It's like a physical walls in my brain. So if you're like that, I would recommend writing things or typing things out. If you want to like talk to somebody about something, you can write it out. I've done this since I was a kid, and I've gotten better at it now. But if it was something really big that I was really worried about, or there are a lot of emotions tied to it in general, I would write it or type it and give it to the person in question, and it was just easier for me. And everybody does things differently, and that's fine. So if you think that'll help you, I'd recommend that. Or if you don't want to give the person the written thing, write it for yourself beforehand. You can either read it to them or just have it with you for like reminders or notes and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So also you get better at communicating over time, just naturally. So just trust the process. A lot of this, it sounds like you just gotta trust the process, It's like those art videos when it'll say trust the process. In the beginning is like all these random blobs of colors. It's like, what the heck is this gonna be? And then like after a few hours or like in that time lapse, it shows like at the end this beautiful masterpiece. It's like, what? How did this come from those blobs in the beginning? So try and picture some things in your life as a trust the process moment, because oftentimes that's just what it is. We're going from one process to another, one season to another, and all of them serve different purposes, and none of them last forever, which can be both a good and a bad thing, but you get what I'm saying. I know motivation is hard to come by. A lot of times in life you just have to do things off of self-control and self-discipline and things like that. So if that's what you're operating off of, that just means you're gonna have the best self-discipline in the future. It's like the gym. So I love the gym. I'm working out all the time, but sometimes I'm just like not very motivated to go, even though I know I love it. Just something in my brain just isn't clicking. But because I know I'm gonna be glad that I did it, I use the discipline when my motivation is gone, and I get myself to go anyway, and I end up being happy about it, and I know it's good for me physically and mentally. And so that's kind of an analogy for like using motivation versus self-discipline in real life, like deciding when. Also, I don't know if this is a problem for you, but I would say when my screen time would be too high, I would just be so blah, just not motivated and like icky and out of it. And yeah, so too much screen time, especially on social media with like short form content, it's not going to help you. I mean, sure, sometimes it's good for a laugh and some quick dopamine fixes, but don't rely on it and don't use it too much. I think if you cut down on your screen time, if you're spending hours on it a day, you'll notice a difference. Not immediately, but after even 2 or 3 days, you should. So I would recommend trying that. Or also throwing in some random like self-care habits, like doing some yoga or a certain type of skincare that's like relaxing, something like that. Just take care of yourself and do your best as this season passes, because I promise you it will get better. They always have and they always will. Problems come, problems go. You're going to be able to make it out of them all, so just keep going. Proud of you, I'm praying for you, and I believe in you. Okay guys, so that was 3 stories, so I think I'm going to call it there. If you have a story or a request for advice or anything that you want to share with me, the Google form link is in the description, and I do my best to get around to all of them. Sometimes I'm a little late, as I mentioned earlier, but I do read them, and I will do my best to respond to them. My Discord server is also linked below, so if you want to keep up with like where I am with your guys' stories or ask me anything, I'm easy to reach through Discord. If you made it to this point and you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, left a like, comment, any of those things, or all of the above. Up to you. And I will see you next time. Bye!